Hello, horror lovers. Welcome to the chilling world of Mr. Haunt. Please subscribe. It's our biggest motivation to keep bringing you spine-tingling stories. Let us know in the comments which city you're listening from. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Now, let's get into the stories. The second I stepped out of Tony's pizzeria with 6 hot boxers stacked in my arms, I knew tonight was wrong. It was February 2022, -12 degrees. The kind of cold that bites straight through your bones and makes your eyeballs ache. My beat-up 2009 Corolla sat idling under the single street lamp, exhaust cloud glowing orange in the frozen air. I tossed the pizzas on the back seat and checked the ticket. 1847 Black Hollow Road. No house number. Just a dirt turnoff 23 miles into the Manistee National Forest. Customers out there never tipped, but Tony paid triple mileage after midnight. So I took it. I pulled away from the glow of the shop and the world just ended. No streetlights, no other cars. Only my headlights, carving a tunnel through pine trees so dense they swallowed sound. Snow started falling hard. Thick flakes that looked like ash in the beams. My radio cut to static at mile marker 9. That far out? That always happens. What doesn't always happen is hearing your own voice come through the speakers when you haven't said a word. Turn around. Derek, it said, clear as me talking right now. Same Michigan accent, same little crack on the R's I've had since 4th grade. My foot slipped off the gas. The car slowed. I stared at the radio display, 87.9 FM, a frequency that hasn't broadcast anything since the 90s. My mouth went dry. I reached to kill the power, but the voice kept talking. You're almost home, Derek. Mom made lasagna. Mom died in 2019. I floored it. Tires spun, caught, and the Corolla fishtailed down the snow-packed logging road. My heart hammered so loud I barely heard the thud on the roof. Something heavy landed above me, hard enough to flex the ceiling. The interior light flickered. Another thud, then claws, no other word for it, started scraping slowly across the metal like it was testing how thin the roof really was. I grabbed my phone. No signal, of course. I screamed every curse word I knew, begging whatever was up there to leave me alone. The scraping stopped. Silence for maybe 5 seconds. Then the rearview mirror filled with eyes. Not human eyes, black, wet, reflecting my headlights like a deer, but way too high up. Whatever owned those eyes was crouched on my trunk, staring straight through the back window, and it wore my face, same crooked nose. I broke sophomore year playing hockey. Same patchy beard I can never grow right. Same terrified expression I felt frozen on my own face right then. It smiled with my mouth, but the teeth were wrong. Too many, too sharp, stretching wider than any human jaw allows. Then it spoke again, using my voice, fogging the glass from outside. Pull over, Derek. I'm cold. I lost it. I jerked the wheel left, trying to throw it off. The thing just shifted its weight and rode the spin like it weighed nothing. Pizza boxes flew. Marinara exploded across the ceiling. I straightened out doing 80 on a road that tops out at 35 in summer. Pines blurred into black walls on both sides. Mile marker, 14. The dashboard clock froze at 1:13 a.m. and started counting backward. That's when I noticed the antlers scraping the roof with every bump. Massive, branching things that left white scars in the paint I discovered later. They weren't deer antlers. Too thick, too twisted, curling forward like they were built to gore anything in front of them. I saw the delivery address ahead. A single wide trailer with one dim porch light. Figured my chances were better inside with whatever hillbilly ordered 6 pizzas at 1 in the morning than out here with. That thing. I slammed the brakes, slid sideways, and bailed out running. The boxers could rot for all I cared. The front door was already open. Inside, the trailer stank of wet dog and something metallic. No furniture, just bare plywood floors and hundreds of Polaroids nailed to every wall. Every single picture was me. Me at the pizzeria counter. Me filling my gas tank last week. Me asleep in my apartment with the window cracked open. The newest ones, taken tonight, showed me pulling up outside seconds ago. Face lit blue by the dash lights. Someone stood in the kitchen doorway, back to me. My height, my build, wearing the exact same red Tony's Pizzeria jacket I had on. It turned around slow. Same face again, but this one was worse because the skin hung loose, like it had been pulled on in a hurry. The eyes were just empty sockets, leaking black tar down the cheeks. It opened my mouth and spoke, with a voice that sounded like two people trying to talk at once. Mine layered over something ancient and hungry. "You're late with the order," it rasped. "Customers starving." Then it started peeling my face off like a mask. Slow, deliberate, revealing raw red muscle underneath that kept smiling. I ran backward, tripped over my own feet, crashed through the screen door into the snow. My car was gone, just tire tracks leading deeper into the woods, and then nothing, like the road itself had been eaten. The thing with my face stepped out onto the porch, holding what used to be its skin draped over one arm, like a coat it no longer needed. That's when every light in the forest went out at once. Not died, went out, like someone flipped a universal switch. Absolute darkness swallowed everything. I couldn't see my hand an inch from my nose, but I could hear it walking toward me, barefoot crunching snow, breathing my breath. I did the only thing I could think of. I dropped to my knees, shoved both hands into the snow until I hit frozen dirt, and started praying out loud, every prayer Mom ever taught me, screaming them into the void. I don't know how long I stayed like that. Minutes, hours. At some point the cold stopped mattering. When the first hint of gray dawn finally bled through the trees, I was alone. Trailer gone, tracks gone. Polaroids scattered across the snow, all bleached blank. Only thing left was my jacket hanging from a low branch, sleeves tied in a knot, like a noose, inside out, soaked in blood that wasn't mine. I walked 17 miles back to town. Nobody believed me until Tony showed me the security footage from the night before. Camera above the register caught me taking the order, boxing the pizzas, walking out. Except there's two of me on the tape. The second one follows 3 steps behind. Same uniform, same face, smiling straight into the lens the whole time. Tony fired me on the spot and told me never come back after dark. I haven't driven anywhere past the city limits since. I keep every light in my apartment burning 24/7. Some nights, I still hear scratching on the roof that sounds exactly like my own fingernails. And sometimes, when I'm dumb enough to look in the mirror after midnight, the reflection waits half a second too long to move. When I do. Last week I found a new Polaroid slipped under my door. It shows me sitting right here recording this story for you, face lit by the screen glow. Curtain, and looked. The knock came from directly beneath my bunk at 4:07 a.m. 3 slow raps against the aluminum floor, like knuckles on a coffin lid. I was parked on the Tibet to Contuedo Winter Road, 312 miles north of Yellowknife. 53 below zero, dark enough that the difference between eyes open and closed no longer mattered. The knock came again, harder. Then a voice, calm, male, familiar in the way a half-remembered dream is familiar. "Jake, let me in. My hands are gone." I knew that voice. It belonged to Darren McAllister, my old driving partner. Darren lost both hands to frostbite in 2019 when his Peterbilt rolled into a pressure ridge and the cab filled with -60 lake water before I could cut him out. I watched the medevac helicopter lift what was left of him into the sky. I signed the death certificate myself in Yellowknife 2 days later. My name is Jake LaRose, 47 years old. 21 seasons hauling everything from diesel to dynamite across frozen lakes most people can't pronounce. We call it ice. The companies call it suicide with benefits. I call it the only place quiet enough that the dead can't usually find me. That night, I was deadheading back south with an empty flat bed, running light so the ice wouldn't crack under 60 tons of load. The road was perfect, 38 inches of black ice over Great Slave Lake, groomed smooth as a hockey rink by the plows. No traffic for hours, just me, the hum of the Cummins, and the aurora twisting green overhead like something trying to spell a warning. Nobody can read. The third knock rattled the whole sleeper. The trailer brakes hissed like they'd been kicked. My coffee mug slid off the dash and shattered. Then the CB crackled alive on channel 19. The emergency channel nobody uses up here unless someone's dying. Darren's voice, thin, wet, like he was speaking through a mouthful of snow. Jake, the ice is thin where you're parked. Open the door, and I'll prove it. I grabbed the mic with shaking fingers. Who is this? Static. Then laughter that turned into coughing. The same wet cough he had the night his lungs filled with lake water. You left me knocking, partner. Not very Canadian. I killed the CB, killed the engine. Sat in total silence except for my heartbeat, and the ice groaning under 38 inches of pressure in one Peterbilt that suddenly felt way too heavy. The knocking moved, started traveling the length of the trailer, metal pings every 10 feet, like something big was walking underneath on the ice itself, tapping the frame the way you test a melon. I pulled the curtain and looked out the passenger window. Nothing but green, aurora, and black ice stretching to the horizon. Then a hand slapped the glass from outside. Not a whole hand, just a wrist stump wrapped in frozen red gauze, leaving a bloody print that steamed in the cold. It knocked again, polite, patient. Another stump appeared on the driver's side. Same blood. I did the only thing years of train wrecks and blowouts taught me. I fired up the Jake brake and dumped the clutch. 18 wheels spun, caught, and the rig lurched forward doing 40 across the lake before I even had the headlights on. The knocking kept perfect pace underneath. Ping, ping, like whatever was down there was running on all fours, under the trailer, keeping up at highway speed without effort. I hit 70, 80. The ice started singing, high-pitched cracks racing alongside the truck like lightning frozen in slow motion. The CB screamed again, Darren's voice layered over itself. 2, 3, a dozen Darrens all talking at once. Slow down, Jake. You'll break through. Then we can ride together again. At mile marker 187, the road makes a sharp dogleg around a pressure ridge the size of a city block. I took it at 90. Trailer whipping like a tail. Something heavy slid the full length of the deck and slammed the back doors hard enough to bow them outward. Then silence. I rolled another 20 miles before I found the courage to stop. I climbed out with a 12 gauge and a flare gun. The trailer sat crooked. One tandem sunk 6 inches deeper than the other. Fresh scratches ran the entire length of the aluminum floor, deep enough to see bare steel, claw marks in sets of 5. Spaced like a man's hand, but twice too wide. At the rear doors, someone had written in frozen blood. Letters 8 feet tall, hands grow back if you feed. Themi slept in the cab with the engine idling, and every light on. At some point I passed out. I woke to sunlight, weak and pink. The kind that never gets more than 10 degrees above the horizon in February. The temperature had risen to minus 30. Warm front. Dangerous ice starts sweating at minus 30. The driver door was open. Snow had drifted across the seat. My gloves were missing. So were both my hands, not cut off, gone. Wrists ending in smooth pink skin. No blood, no pain, like they'd been erased. I screamed until my throat bled. The CB answered. Darren again, cheerful now. Morning, partner. Coffee's on. Hands are in the thermos if you're hungry. I looked. The Stanley thermos sat in the cuff holder, lid off. 2 frozen human hands floated inside, pruned in gray, thumbs up like they were hitchhiking. My hands. Wedding ring still on the left one, the one my wife gave me the week before she left because I missed another anniversary hauling fuel to the diamond mines. I drove the rest of the way south, one-handed on the wheel, one stump wrapped in a t-shirt, crying like a child. The hands thawed by the time I hit Yellowknife and started knocking again from inside the glove box. They still knock every winter when the road opens. Some nights I let the new drivers hear them on the CB and pretend it's a prank. Some nights I open the thermos and watch my own fingers curl, beckoning. The ice road claims its pound of flesh every season. This year it just took mine early. If you ever haul the Tibet to Contuito after midnight and something knocks underneath, asking to come in, keep driving. Hands grow back, but they never come back. The moment the clock hit 11:58 p.m. on my very first solo shift, every single chairlift on Blackthorn Mountain started moving at once. I was sitting in the patrol shack at the base, boots kicked up on the desk, sipping burnt coffee that tasted like rust, when the motors groaned to life. All 14 lifts, swaying empty in the moonlight, creaking like old bones. The power to the mountain had been cut 6 years ago, after the avalanche that killed 23 people and bankrupted the resort. Those motors should have been dead and drained. Yet there they were, spinning slow, chairs rocking back and forth like something invisible had just climbed off. My name is Caleb Mercer, 29 years old, broke, and desperate enough to take the only job nobody else wanted. Night watchman at a place the locals call the graveyard on skis. They paid me cash under the table to sit here from dusk till dawn, make sure teenagers didn't break in to smoke weed or film ghost videos, and call the sheriff if anything actually caught fire. Simple, quiet, lonely. That was before. I learned the mountain never really closed. It just changed what it served after dark. I grabbed the radio, thumbed the button. Base to maintenance. Why are the lifts running? Static, of course. The walkie-talkies only worked downhill, and there was no maintenance crew anymore. I stepped outside. -20 with wind chill, the kind of cold that makes your teeth hurt. My breath froze in front of my face. The chairs kept swinging, cables humming that low metallic song you feel in your fillings. Then I saw the first passenger, halfway up lift 7, the oldest double chair on the mountain. Something sat hunched forward, elbows on knees, head down, too big for a person, shoulders too wide, legs dangling wrong, like the joints bent backward. It wore a tattered orange parka that used to be resort staff issue. The hood was up, hiding the face, but long black hair whipped out from under it, moving against the wind, like it was underwater. I raised my mag. The beam hit the figure, and it snapped its head toward me so fast, the hood fell back. No face, just a smooth stretch of gray skin, where features should be, pulled tight over a skull that was too elongated, to canine. Then the skin split open vertically, from hairline to chin, peeling apart like theater curtains, revealing a wet red mouth lined with needles. It opened that mouth and screamed with a voice that sounded exactly like my little sister begging me not to leave her in the avalanche. When we were kids, I dropped the flashlight. The scream echoed down the valley, multiplied, answered from every single lift. Every chair now carried one of them. Some wore old guest clothing, parkas from the 80s, neon onesies, even a child's tiny pink snowsuit. Others were naked, skin mottled gray and hairless, joints popping as they twisted to watch me. Dozens of them, hundreds, riding the chairs in endless circles, waiting for the next load of meat to arrive. I bolted back inside the shack and slammed the steel door. My hands shook so bad I could barely work the deadbolt. The windows were barred, the walls concrete. Safe, I told myself. Just stay inside until sunrise. That was the rule, the day shift guy whispered when he handed me the keys. Whatever you hear, whatever you see, do not go outside after the lifts start moving. The power flickered. Emergency lights kicked on red. The ancient PA system crackled to life. Speakers that hadn't worked since 2017. A little girl's voice came through. Distorted, waterlogged. "Caleb, come play. The snow is perfect." That was Lily's voice, my sister. She was 12 when the mountain took her. I pressed my back to the door and slid to the floor. The chairs outside kept creaking. I counted heartbeats. 1 minute, 5, 10. The screaming stopped. Silence felt worse. Then the knocking started. Slow, deliberate. 3 knocks on the door. Pause. 3 more. Exactly how Lily used to knock when she wanted in my room. I covered my ears. It didn't help. The knocks moved to the roof, then the windows, then inside the walls, like the whole building was a drum and something was learning the rhythm of my pulse. At 2:07 a.m., the monitors flickered on by themselves. Grainy black and white feeds from cameras that had been smashed years ago. Every screen showed a different angle of the base lodge, and on every screen, I was already outside, in the footage. I walked across the snow in my security jacket, headlamp glowing, waving up at the chairs like I was greeting old friends. The timestamp read 2:07 a.m. right now. I watched myself stop directly under lift 3, tilt my head back, and open my arms. One of the creatures dropped from a passing chair, landed on my shoulders, wrapped backward legs around my waist, and leaned in close. The thing's blank face pressed against mine, and the skin started to flow, molding, stretching, copying every detail until there were 2 of me standing there. The new one turned, smiled straight into the camera with my mouth, and waved. The real me inside the shack pissed himself. I don't know when I started crying. I only know that at some point I was on my knees begging forgiveness for not digging harder when the avalanche sirens went off, for not finding Lily's mitten sticking out of the snow, for giving up when search and rescue called it. The knocking stopped. Everything went quiet again. The door unlocked itself. It swung inward slow. No wind, no hand. Snow blew in. Footprints appeared one by one across the concrete floor. Bare feet too long, toes splayed wrong, leading straight to where I knelt. The prints stopped 2 feet in front of me. Something crouched there. I couldn't see it, but I felt the heedless breath on my face and smelled the copper rot of old blood frozen solid. A whisper, Lily's voice mixed with something that gurgled like drowning. "You left me cold, Caleb. Now you stay warm for both of us." The emergency lights died. Total darkness. When my phone flashlight finally came back on 30 seconds later, I was alone again. But my jacket hung open, and my shirt was gone. In its place, my chest had been flayed open in a perfect Y incision, like an autopsy. RIBS cranked back, everything inside rearranged. No pain, no blood, just hollow. Something had taken my warmth and left the space tidy. I still patrol Blackthorn every night. The lifts still run. The creatures still ride. Sometimes tourists sneak up for night skiing videos and never come down. Sometimes I wave at the cameras with their faces now. If you ever see job listings for night security at abandoned Colorado ski resorts, scroll past. Some mountains don't bury their dead. They just wait for someone warm to carry them down. The first time I heard Marcus speak again, I was alone on the Lamar Valley Patrol Road at 3:14 a.m., engine off. Windows cracked because the heater in the truck had died 2 winters ago. The voice drifted across the frozen sagebrush, clear as the day he bled out in my arms 6 years earlier. "Elliot, help me find my hat." Exact tone. Exact slight lisp on the F from the tooth he lost to a grizzly in '09. I jerked so hard, my head cracked the roof light. My maglite rolled off the dash and spun circles on the floorboard, painting the cab in frantic white sweeps. Nothing outside but moonlight on snow and the black silhouettes of the Absaroka peaks. Marcus died on September 17th, 2016. I held pressure on the artery in his thigh while the helicopter took 23 endless minutes to reach us. He kept joking about his stupid felt campaign hat blowing away in the rotor wash. He was gone before they lifted off. I buried what was left of him in Bozeman, next to his mom. I still have the hat in a box under my bunk. So when his voice came out of the dark again, I knew 2 things instantly. Either I was finally cracking, or something was wearing him like a coat. My name is Elliot Reyes, Senior Ranger, Firehole District, Yellowstone National Park. Everyone thinks we spend our days saving dumb tourists from bison selfies. Most nights we track poachers, fight wildfires, and try not to freeze to death. After Marcus, I volunteered for every winter solo patrol they'd give me. Punishment or penance, take your pick. That night I was checking closure gates on the northeast entrance road, officially closed November through April, unofficially used by wolves, elk, and things rangers don't write in the logs. The temperature sat at -28. My truck thermometer had given up and just flashed to dashes like it was flipping me off. I killed the headlights to save the battery and sat in the dark, listening. The voice didn't repeat. Only normal winter sounds. Ice cracking on the Lamar River, a distant elk bugling, wind hissing through dead grass. I was reaching to restart the engine when every wolf in the valley started howling at once. Not normal singing. This was panicked, frantic, the way they sound when a grizzly walks through camp. The chorus rose, crested, then cut off like someone hit mute. Silence so complete, my ears rang dot. Then footsteps, slow, deliberate, 2-legged, crunching straight toward the truck through knee-deep snow. No sway of 4 legs, no bound of a bear, just upright, heavy, coming from the tree line 200 yards east. My spotlight was frozen solid. I grabbed the Remington 700 from the rack, cycled around as quiet as I could, and waited. The footsteps stopped 10 feet from the bumper. I couldn't see anything past the frost on the windshield, but I felt it staring. The cab temperature dropped so fast, the coffee in my mug flashed to slush. My breath hung in front of me like a ghost. Elliot. Marcus again, closer now, standing right outside my door. "Open up, I'm cold." I flicked the dome light. Nothing there. Empty snow, untouched, except for one set of prints, leading straight to the truck and ending at my window. Human prints, bare feet, size 14, same as Marcus wore. Toes splayed wrong, too long. Heel dragged like whatever walked, broke its ankles forward years ago, and never healed. I left the next 4 hours. I came to at dawn, parked sideways across the road. Driver, door hanging open, rifle gone, uniform shirt unbuttoned and covered in frozen blood that wasn't mine. My body camera was still recording. I watched the footage once. Never again. It shows me stepping out of the truck calm as Sunday breakfast, smiling at something tall, I greeted by name. Whatever stood there was off camera, but you can see its shadow stretch 20 feet across the snow. Thin, jointed, wrong, ending in a wolf head silhouette, the size of a horse. I hugged it, wrapped my arms around something that made my shoulders look child-sized. Then I tilted my head back, opened my mouth wide, and it leaned down and poured itself straight down my throat like black smoke given weight. My stomach bulged. My eyes rolled pure white. When it finished, I buttoned my shirt, got back in the truck, and drove away whistling Johnny Cash. The time stomp ends at 6:58. a.m. sunrise. I don't remember any of it. What I do remember is the next 3 weeks of winter patrol, turning into slow torture. Every night after that, the wolves followed me on 2 legs. I'd catch them at the edge of the headlights, standing upright at the tree line, 7, 8, 9 feet tall, arms too long, claws clicking together like they were talking. Their faces weren't wolf anymore. They wore Ranger campaign hats. Some wore Marcus. Some wore tourists who'd gone missing years back. One wore a little girl who vanished from Fishing Bridge in 1998. Her pigtails still perfect under the flat brim. They never attacked. They just wanted me to see. On the 21st night, I found the den. I was tracking Fresh Blood sign near Specimen Ridge when the snow gave way under the truck, and I slid nose first into a ravine no map has ever shown. The impact knocked me out. I woke upside down, seatbelt cutting my neck, blood in my eyes. The cab was full of steam and the smell of wet dog. Something ripped the door off its hinges. Marcus crouched there, or what used to be Marcus, 8 feet tall now, spine bent forward, legs reversed at the knee, wearing my partner's face stretched over a wolf's skull, the size of a 55-gallon drum. His campaign hat sat perfect, not a dent. He smiled with too many teeth, and spoke with the voice I'd heard the night he died. Calm, professional. Found your rifle, partner. You dropped it. He held the Remington out to me like we were just swapping gear on a normal shift. The stock was chewed to splinters. When I didn't take it, he shrugged, reversed the barrel, and pressed it under his own chin. Tell my mom I finally grew into the hat. He pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed forever. His head exploded into black crows that screamed away into the storm. The body folded in on itself, deflating, skin sloughing off in wet sheets, until only a naked, newborn thing remained, pale, blind, human-shaped, crawling toward me, mewling with my own voice. I blacked out again. Search and rescue found the truck 3 days later. They said I'd been thrown clear, hypothermic but alive. No body, no blood, except mine. Official report. Animal attack, probably grizzly. Case closed. They gave me 6 months paid leave, and a quiet suggestion to retire early. I still live in the same cabin outside Gardner. I don't sleep. Every night the wolves come to the window and stand upright in the porch light, wearing faces of everyone I've failed to bring home. Sometimes Marcus leads the pack. Sometimes it's the little girl. Sometimes it's me. Newer version, cleaner uniform, eyes already turning yellow. Last week, I found Marcus's campaign hat hanging on my doorknob at sunrise. Inside the sweatband, written in blood that never dries, were the words, "See you on patrol, partner." Winter gate opens again in 12 days. I keep the rifle loaded now. 1 bullet left. I just haven't decided whose head it goes in first.